This little amp is supposed to be a Tweed Champ copy, but it sounds decisively different and it sounds really massive through the microphones. Let's find out how to get great sounds with it. Hey everyone, this is Carlos from Amalgam Audio. Welcome to the next episode of Storytime. And this time we're talking about the Gibson GA-5 Cream ToneX version. We had in an earlier episode the GA-5 Skylark from the Crestline era, which is a completely different design. This one is a single-ended amp that puts out about 5 watts. The Crestline GA-5 is a push-pull amp that puts out about 10 watts. This little one here is as simple as an amp can get. It has literally only 3 tubes inside, 1 preamp tube, 1 power tube, and the tube rectifier, and that's it. Let's dive a bit deeper into the design of single-ended amps and talk about why they sound so decisively different than the usual Class A/B push-pull amps. So this Cream ToneX Gibson GA-5 is supposed to be a copy of the very famous Fender Tweed Champ, the 5F1 model. Despite it being a very close relative to that model, it sounds decisively different. And especially with such simple amps, it suffices to change just a few components, a resistor or a capacitor here or there. It will change noticeably the tonality of the amp, and moreover, the voltages that also can change will radically impact how the sound of the amp will be. As it is typical for the Gibsons of this late 50s era, they have a more woolly sound. The later Crestline amps have a somewhat similar tone to the blackface era Fenders. They are scooped in the mid-range, but in a different way than the usual Fender scooped sound. And those 50s Gibsons will have a very mid-rangey sound, a lot of low end. They start to fuzz up nicely when they're really cranking, and it is very warm, punchy and vintage tone. As with most other those little small practice amps that are single-ended designs, it doesn't get simpler than this. It has an on-off switch and a volume control. That's all you get. It has a bit of clean headroom in there, but you won't get loud cleans, certainly not loud enough to keep up with the drummer, and it will start to crunch up very soon. What is unique about single-ended amps compared to the usual push-pull stuff is that as soon as it starts to go into saturation, it has a very different character than a push-pull amp. And that is because it doesn't have the same sort of compression that you are familiar with from Marshall and Fender designs that are not single-ended. And that is because the output stage is working full tilt all the time. So it doesn't matter if you have the volume on 2 or on 10, the output stage is working overtime all the time. The single-ended designs also have a very unique overdrive character. They go differently into distortion, and what is their trademark is that they generate a lot of second-order harmonics, which are really enjoyable to the human ear. And this is different in push-pull amps because the output transformer is working in an entirely different manner. In push-pull amps, even-order harmonics are being cancelled out by the opposite windings of the output transformer, and that's not the case with single-ended amps. As almost all the small single-ended amps that are made in the US, also this one features the 8-inch speaker by Jensen, which is almost omnipresent in any brand that manufactured small amps in America. This year we have acquired quite a few of the small single-ended amps. We have the Gibson GA-5, the Supro 1606, the Vox AC4, both Fender Champs, the Blackface and the Tweed Champ. And within this lineage of single-ended amps, I would say this is one of the raunchiest, warmest and thickest sounding. That is its core character. So this is a really great blues amp. It will handle humbuckers nicely, and its warmth is also a very complementary sound for single coils. Let's take a look how to mic this amp up for some marvelous tones. The Cream ToneX GA-5 is an inherently dark, warm and woolly sounding amp. So as you don't have any tone controls, no treble, bass or literally a tone control, we have to counteract that with the mic we choose and the mic placement. So in this case we'll move as close as possible to the center of the speaker, right on the dust cap, and we'll try to find a point where by moving back the mic we don't have excessive low end and excessive mid-range. So in this case we'll move back a bit to get some nice balance between the highs and lows, and so that this wooliness doesn't take over and we still have some nice string separation. You could also go with the brighter mic. Any sort of dynamic mic like a standard SM57 will work really nice with this amp because of the inherent warm character of this, but also a Royer or a biodynamic M160 will work nicely. When it overdrives, it has this really raunchy character that sounds really big on the mics. So this is how it sounds mic'd up like this. This amp will start to sound warm and smooth right from the get-go. The cleans you get from it are on the darker side. So to get it to a really lively setting, you have to go to 4 or 5 on the volume dial. That is where the magic starts to happen. And that is actually, at 5 is the usual setting where most of the amps start to really breathe and be interactive and like really lively. Fabian will play us out with his demo of this little monster. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and see you around.